So we're halfway through the season, and I'm going to do my end of season predictions based off largely what I've seen this season. But I want to make it a bit more interesting than just predicting the top four, the Premier League, the Champions League, the Europa League. I'm going to predict who would be named signing of the season, aka who I think the signing of the season will be most improved, but also things just like non-top six or big six. Player of the season, young player of the season, who's going to get the most goals, who's going to get the most assists, who's going to be named manager of the season and more. So I'm basically predicting the end of season awards, plus putting in a few of my own ideas like non-Big Six club player of the season. So I hope you guys do like this video, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. I did a poll asking you guys what club you supported, and I got 60% Liverpool. So if you're not a Liverpool fan, please subscribe because we need to balance it out more. And yeah, so we're going to start with who I think the top scorer will be and who I think the top assister will be. And this is the current goal scoring and assist charts as things stand. With Kevin De Bruyne coming back in, with Haaland returning from injury, I think it's quite safe to go with Haaland as top scorer. I think Son is capable of it, we've seen in the past. I think Mo Salah is very capable of being top scorer as well. But I think De Bruyne coming back in, I think it could be Haaland. It could depend on injuries. Solanke's been great, Bowen's been great, Hwang's been great, Isak's been great, but I think Son, Salah and Haaland are those three players are capable of putting up ridiculous numbers, particularly Salah and Haaland. So I'm going to go with Haaland because of De Bruyne for top scorer. And the top assister, part of me is like, you know what, Pedro Neto, if he can stay fit. If Pedro Neto can stay fit, 100%. Part of me is like, maybe it would be Mohamed Salah because I feel like he's actually been assisting a lot more. Part of me is like, you know what, Pedro Porro's deliveries is so underrated. I'm going to go with Salah because I'm going to play it safe. I did actually say Bruno at the start of the season. De Bruyne is too far behind, I think. I'm going to go with Mohamed Salah, play it safe, because I don't think Pedro Neto will stay fit. And I think Pedro Porro is defensive. Kieran Trippier is defensive, and Watkins I think will get more goals come end of the season. So that's my top goal scorer and assister. I'm going to just keep it how it is. But let's get into the more interesting ones. Who do I think will be the players of the season and the young player of the season? So here's what I think the nominees will be. Here's sort of my nominees, what I'd assume the nominees would be. And for player of the season, I think it would be Van Dijk, Rice, Saliba, Porro, Son and Haaland. I think they will be the nominees for player of the season. And I think the nominees for young player of the season will be Cole Palmer, Adogi Sarr, Saka, Curtis Jones. And I think Saliba just still qualifies for young player of the season. Now, as you can see in bold, I've predicted that it's going to be Van Dijk and I've predicted it's going to be Cole Palmer because as things stand, Liverpool look like they're going to win the league. And I think I would have to go to a Liverpool player if they won the league, and I think Van Dijk's been Liverpool's best player. And then young player of the season, I've gone for Cole Palmer because he's in that Chelsea side that isn't great and he's doing well. But it was really close between the doggy and even Curtis Jones stepping up. And you've got to remember, like, I think players like Szoboszlai and Mickey van der Ven and all these other good players can technically qualify for young player of the season. But I was trying to basically make my young player of the season award more like people that are really young rather than a bit of experience. But I think realistically it will be Cole Palmer or Saliba because I think Saliba can still qualify for young player of the season. I'm going to predict Cole Palmer though because he's the bright spot at Chelsea, and I think there's always a bit of an English bias in the voting. So let me know down below though, who's your player of the season and young player of the season right now, and who do you think will be at the end of the season? I think it's going to Van Dijk. I think it's going to Cole Palmer. Who is the non-Big Six player of the season? I think Bowen, Kudus, Bruno Guimaraes, Pau Torres, Diaby, Watkins, Solanke, Neto, and Eze have all been very good. Neto and Eze sort of Neto particularly been injured. I think Kudus, Bowen, Bruno G, Diaby, Watkins, Pau Torres, Solanke, they're all going to be up there. But I'm going to give it to Mohamed Kudus as my non-Big Six player of the season, which isn't actually an award. But I wanted to make this video more inclusive for people that watch that aren't, Big Six supporters. And I think everyone talks about the Big Six, myself included, that I think it's really important to actually give attention to Kudus, who's been fantastic, Bruno Guimaraes, who's been fantastic. Give them a little bit of credit they deserve in this video. And I think Kudus has been absolutely phenomenal. So I give it to him. But let me know down below, if you don't support a Big Six club, who's your player of the season for your club or whatever club? Going into manager of the season, and I think it might depend on who wins the title. Like if Arteta wins the title, he could come back in there. I think if Klopp wins the title, 100% he'll win it because he's also sort of leaving Liverpool at the end. And part of me thinks they might just give it to Klopp because he's leaving Liverpool at the end of the season, but I think he might have to win the title to do that. But Klopp, Ange Postecoglou and Unai Emery are the top three contenders now, like absolutely clear of everybody else. Potentially Arteta, potentially Pep. how that does in the title race. But Unai Emery, Klopp and Ange Postecoglou are the three main contenders. I think Tottenham are going to finish. I generally think Tottenham are going to finish third, and that was a crazy prediction I had, but I do, and I think it could go to Ange Postecoglou because everyone wrote Tottenham off at the end of the season. Like most people, to be honest, put Villa above Tottenham in their predictions. Everyone kind of wrote Tottenham off at the end of the season because Villa did look so good last season. And then obviously Tottenham's, other than Maddison, Tottenham's spending was quite rogue, very good, very efficient. Vicario, the players coming in, Mickey van der Ven and stuff, but it was quite rogue. But I think it could go to Ange Postecoglou because it's not just about where Tottenham are and the injuries they've had and how well they're doing with the injuries they've had. But I actually look at Tottenham and I think they play really good football, really attractive football to watch, which I think makes them very likeable from sort of a neutral perspective. From I think a general all-round perspective, Tottenham is one of the most likeable squads in the league right now. I think Arsenal fans will disagree with that. Continuing on to signing of the season and most improved. So my nominees for signing of the season, and this isn't an official award, so this is just based off my opinion, is Vicario, McAllister, Pau Torres, Rice, João Pedro of Brighton, Endo, Cole Palmer, and I would have put Maddison and Mickey van der Ven in there, but they've kind of been injured, but they were like top two before their injury. Porro technically was signed this season, but was at Spurs last season. Like Udogie and Sarr were technically signed last season, they're coming to Spurs this season, so it's like they can't really qualify, but they can. But I didn't put them in because I just thought I don't want to overcomplicate it. I think Vicario's value for money has been the most surprising. McAllister and Endo have been really good. Szoboszlai actually could have gone in here as well. To be fair, Liverpool did really, really good business. I think João Pedro has been fantastic for Brighton. They always do good business. Pau Torres has stepped up. Cole Palmer stepped up. I'm going to go with McAllister. I'm going to go with Alexis McAllister because I sort of put him in my second tier in my signings video, and everyone was like, Alice, like, do you not know that this guy was 35 million? He's kind of playing not even in his natural role and how good he's been. In the last 3 games I've watched McAllister and he's been brilliant. And actually, he's very much all round. He ticks a lot of boxes. And Liverpool are top of the league. And he was a signing that I kind of wrote off to begin with. Well, not wrote off, but I thought, oh, I don't know, with them not getting the 6 in, all of that. He's proved me wrong. I'm going to give it to McAllister, signing of the season. And then most improved, I put Anthony Gordon, Gallagher, Hwang and Porro down. Could have put a lot more names down. There's so many names. But I'm going to go with Anthony Gordon. I think he was sort of deemed a flop when he first joined Newcastle. And I think he's arguably been Newcastle's top 3 players this season. I think he's been really good. I think he's stepped up a level. And I think he's knocking on the door for an England call-up. And I think just because of he's young and how he's turned it around. But to be honest, Hwang could win that. Pedro Porro could win that. Maybe I'm being nice on Anthony Gordon. But yeah, that's my most improved. Let me know yours down below. But let's get into the more interesting part of the video, which is obviously my general prediction. So top 4, I've gone with Liverpool, City, Spurs and Arsenal, with Villa to drop out. And that is because Villa is still in Europe. And obviously Spurs are no longer in Europe. And I think Spurs will take Villa's place and Villa will end up finishing 5th. And no disrespect to Villa, but we'll see how your depth does. Premier League, I think it will be a Liverpool versus City title race. I don't think you can rule out Arsenal. I don't think you can even rule out Villa and Spurs. They're capable of something crazy if they can get a run of games together. I think whoever just gets a run of games together and goes on unbeaten streak is going to win it. I think it's going to be Liverpool versus City. City, De Bruyne coming back, they always go on a run. City always look good towards the end of the season and normally go unbeaten in the last 20 games of each season. Liverpool are top at the moment and deserve to be top, and Klopp leaving as well. I think it will be Liverpool versus City, but I'm going to go for Liverpool to win the title because 1, they're currently top, and 2, Klopp's leaving. And I think even when they've had key players missing through injury, they've still found a way to win and adapt. Champions League, and people will give me stick for this, but I did a video on this and I thought, you know what, I'm going to delete this video because the Champions League doesn't resume for a bit, and let me actually make this video later on when it's a bit more relevant to the time. But I actually think Arsenal will win the Champions League. I generally do. I think they struggle against low blocks. They're very good in transition. They're very good against big teams. I think their focus will now be on the Champions League now that out of competitions, and I generally believe they have the quality there to win the Champions League. City do, Bayern do, Real Madrid do, but I don't think there's the competition out there like there used to be in the Champions League, and I generally think Arsenal will win it. I think Liverpool will win Europa League, and I don't think I really need to explain that. I mean, if they're going to win the Premier League, and that's the hardest league in the world, and they're in the Europa League, you'd expect them to win the Europa League, but you just never know. I thought Man United would win the Europa League, and we got knocked out to Sevilla, we lost to Sevilla in a final or semi-final, and we lost to Villarreal in a final. I mean, there's 3 seasons I thought United were going to win the Europa League, and we got knocked out by Spanish opposition, Carabao Cup, I've gone with Liverpool. It's a Liverpool versus Chelsea final. No disrespect, Chelsea fans, but Liverpool are the favourites for that. I think people can understand why. Although Chelsea have really started to swing into gear, Chelsea have stepped up a level and looked a lot better. And then FA Cup, I've gone with Man City. Could be Liverpool, could be Villa, could be Newcastle, could be Manchester United, could be someone different. Part of me thinks maybe Villa would push for it, but I think Villa's focus will be on the Conference League, and they'll probably maybe win that. Part of it is like, could Newcastle do it? But I just think their injury record and inconsistencies. I think Man City is Manchester City. I think Liverpool will be focusing on other things maybe, and I think Man City will win the FA Cup. So that was my sort of end of season predictions based off what we've seen in this first half of the season. Let me know what you agree, disagree with. Let me know if you just liked me putting a spin on it, like non-Big 16 player of the year, best signing. Should have done worst signing, actually. I mean, would that be a Man United signing? Andre Onana has been probably the most disappointing. I don't know. Maybe I should have included that. But let me know if you have video ideas. Hit the likes, hit the subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.